I spoke with two journalists yesterday after what David Ornstein was saying, which was that Erik Ten Hag looks like he's going to keep his job at Manchester United for the foreseeable anyway. I'm going to talk about what they said. I'm going to go through David Ornstein's quotes, which pretty much brought all of this out from the rest of the media, ESPN and The Athletic in particular. One journalist each from one of them I contacted last night to see if the rumours that were going around last night from Ornstein were true. I'm going to go through all of them, what they said, get through Ornstein's quotes and talk to you guys in the live chat about what you think and what you reckon from this is going to happen going forward for Manchester United right now. We have loads of other stuff to get through with United as well, including comments from certain players and certain pundits I want to get your opinions on in the live chats. But first of all, let's get into what is most important. Let's get into what's actually going on with the situation with Ten Hag at the moment and where we actually stand this morning. The 7th of October, it's D-Day. Apparently the meeting is going on tomorrow. There was one report that United are also having a meeting in Manchester today as well as the one in London tomorrow. We'll look into details on that, so we'll get into it. This is Forever United TV. Welcome along, everybody. Keep watching, keep commenting, and let us know what you feel. The stats are all there for everybody to see. We went through all of them yesterday. There's a lot of fans that are trying to defend the situation. There are also a lot of United fans that are trying to just make people look at the reality of what's actually going on and where United are actually at right now. It's a table never lies versus look what's happened before sort of situation with the fans. It's a bit chaotic. We'll get into all of that as well. We've got plenty of time in the show, so strap yourselves in. I'm not going to say that obvious one that I've made a mistake with before. Strap yourselves in and get ready, get commenting, get watching, and, well, let's just see what we can figure out between ourselves as United fans as to what's actually going on right now. So, first of all, obviously, David Ornstein's quotes and what he's actually said. Started off yesterday, obviously, after the game had finished, some slightly before the game from Ornstein as well. But mainly after the game in terms of how everything was feeling at Manchester United right now. Obviously, Ornstein is the most connected and well-connected at Manchester United, so we have to take what he says as definites. Well, not so much definites, but more likely to be true than anybody else reporting it out there. Report everyone, to be fair, on Forever United TV, but when Ornstein talks, we tend to sit down and we tend to listen to what he's actually saying. On potentially Ten Hag's last game, it could be, of course, but no decision to sack him yet, and the feeling you get from the conversations around Old Trafford for now, it all remains calm. They do want to continue with him because they have clearly invested in him. Rumours he has lost the dressing room are not accurate. The tension is clearly growing and the attention is on him. In terms of Ornstein saying that he hasn't lost the dressing room, honestly, no, I don't believe that. Personally, I think there is unrest in the dressing room, and I think that is there for everybody to see on the pitch. There are players not getting games, there are players that are underperforming. Of course, when players are not playing well, you'll look to one person, and that's the coach and the head coach who controls it all. So Ornstein's probably contacted the club and everyone said, yeah, it's all okay. So on the player side of things, from what Ornstein said in that comment, I don't really believe it. I think there is unrest in the changing room, and I think that's clear on the pitch for us to see, and we can all make our own mind up from that. In terms of things being calm around the club, I pretty much do trust Ornstein on that and feel like that is the situation right now with United. Ineos are not Manchester United of old. Ineos are they're their own sort of power, let's just say, and they're not going to jump the gun if they feel like there is still a chance of them not looking like they've got egg on their face by their appointment in Ten Hag failing and ultimately, like we've all spoke about over the last 2 days, being in charge of Manchester United in our worst ever Premier League spell. It's the worst it's been for decades at Manchester United. In fact, Manchester United's form right now and the start to the season is the worst since Fergie's 1989 team, 89-90 season, in which Sir Alex Ferguson finished 13th. For all you die-hard Manchester United fans and the ones that always go back to Manchester United, look what happened with Fergie, give him time. Is this the last season then? Because if United do finish bottom half of the table, there's nowhere else you can really go in that argument either. And I do believe if United do finish bottom half of the table by the end of the season, if Ten Hag somehow survives, I do feel like Ineos won't be the United of old. under the Martin Edwards days and keep Sir Alex Ferguson in keeping Ten Hag, I think he'll be long gone. That will be unacceptable. But some people still think that is okay. Hey, each to their own. Carrying on into more. The idea that Manchester United can't afford to sack Erik Ten Hag due to financial fair play is not true. It will be expensive, but it's doable if it gets to that point, but they hope not. Again, more in hope, more in that they don't want to sack Erik Ten Hag. This all from Ornstein. All of these quotes are from his mouth. Are there any available candidates was a question that was asked. David Ornstein says, I'm not aware of them speaking to other candidates like they did over the summer, and it would be negligent of them, like any other club, to speak to other candidates if a change were to occur, but I don't get the feeling that we are at that point just yet. That's probably the most important line out of all of it. And if a change were to be made, and I am uncomfortable in saying that because Ten Hag is still in position. So if you are fully on, we need to get Ten Hag out. These comments from Ornstein are not what you want to hear right now. I get it. I do. I'm only reading them out so we can be factual on what's been said. And I do pay attention to what Ornstein says. And I do pay attention when he opens his mouth, because he is the ultimate when it comes to connection. You can forget about Romano. When it comes to people who are connected at United, when someone speaks or makes a comment about a situation, Ornstein is right up there above everybody else. More reports on Ruud van Nistelrooy, which we've spoken about, and we're only going to say, like I did yesterday, we're going to bring up everyone's comments from all the journalist world and the media world. But it looks like David Ornstein has also poo-pooed the idea that Ruud van Nistelrooy was brought in by Manchester United and not one of Ten Hag's recommendations. So I'll just read it first. Reports that Van Nistelrooy is a Manchester United appointment in case Ten Hag goes is not true. He was an Erik Ten Hag appointment. There may be some loyalty issues. So he's not saying that it's not all good. He's not saying that Manchester United brought Van Nistelrooy in case it went wrong for Erik Ten Hag also. So what he's saying is the reports that Ineos brought Van Nistelrooy in case it all went Pete Tong for Erik Ten Hag are not true. Ten Hag wanted Van Nistelrooy to come in as part of his coaching team, and Manchester United, again, showing that they are fully backing Ten Hag. And I think this is the problem. And what Ornstein's saying is he's brought up all of the points, I feel, that are quite important in terms of how much backing Ineos have given Erik Ten Hag. So his coaches, obviously backing him in the summer, obviously wanting to give him time because of the investment that they've put in money. So he's brought up all of these points, Ornstein, and I think that's just what he's going off. And the vibe he gets, some people he's spoken to, and a lot of the athletic journalists have said the same thing on this in terms of when you speak to people in the know of, or people who know what Ineos are like and how they work, and the situation right now is the environment and the vibe is that they are not in any rush to get rid of Erik Ten Hag. They don't want to get rid of Erik. If things go completely off the edge of a cliff, then obviously their hand will be forced, but everything is calm right now. So off the back of this, I contacted two journalists last night, one from ESPN and one from The Athletic, and they said pretty much, backing up what Ornstein has said, is that from the people in the know and people that you speak to around Manchester United, not so much United, but more the people that Ineos have employed, so the Sir Jim Radcliffe, Sir David Brailsford side of things. You can talk about Manchester United being a bit of a shut door and not being able to get access, but there's a lot of people that actually know how the likes of Sir David Brailsford work, Dan Ashworth and Sir Jim Radcliffe and all of the Ineos team, and it's probably easier to get into them. I mean, look, for instance, what I mean by that is you've seen Sir Jim Radcliffe talking to the BBC and openly talking about questions. When are you ever going to get a owner/co-owner of a big football club like United openly talking in random interviews here and there? He talked after doing the marathon, the America's Cup. He's already opened up and talked about his takeover of United. He's had 3 or 4 interviews already where he's openly talking about the situation at Manchester United. It doesn't happen Well, what we're trying to say is it's easier to get into people that have come from Ineos into Manchester United than the so-called getting through that closed door of Manchester United where you don't get a lot of information. And again, people from The Athletic are saying the same thing, that Ten Hag and the situation as it is, there is no panic from Manchester United. They don't actively want to sack him. Rob Dawson from ESPN, I didn't speak to Rob, by the way, yesterday, but he has tweeted as well. Manchester United in talks, not so much in secret talks, but behind the scenes, have said that they don't want to get rid of Erik Ten Hag. They just don't want to get rid of him. That's the fact. And I keep saying it, and I'll keep going on about this now, but what everybody is coming out with and what everybody's saying within is that they want to give him every single chance of turning this around, rather than just jumping the gun and looking at the horrendous stats that are there for every single person to see. I spoke to someone from ESPN last night after what was said from their tweets and what the likes of Rob Dawson and also other people from ESPN and Ornstein and The Athletic. And he said, look, it does look like Ten Hag is going to continue. It looks like they're going to stick with him right now. Obviously, they are only on the, let's say, the outskirts. They're only on the edge of what's going on at Manchester United. And they're just speaking to people that they may know when it comes to what's actually going on at the club. They're not going to be in on these meetings. They're not going to be in on anything that's going on with Manchester United. We know that the so-called meetings that are happening this week with the directors of Manchester United are scheduled. So it would be talks that were already going on. Laurie Whitwell did come out yesterday and say that there is another meeting today in Manchester, as well as the one in London, which we all knew about this weekend, which is scheduled already in. So there's two meetings, apparently, Laurie Whitwell has said. There's one today, and there is one tomorrow. So Manchester and London, two meetings. Who's going to be involved in both? We don't know. We only know that most of the big players of Manchester United, director-wise, ownership-wise, are going to be at the one tomorrow. That's the big one, the one in London. So what happens today at Manchester, I'm guessing maybe the one that they talk about Erik Ten Hag. But yeah, the ESPN reporter who I spoke to as well has said that in his own personal opinion, it does look like he's just going to carry on, in hope more than in what they've actually seen progression-wise, which is kind of a bit of a complete 180 on what they actually said at the start of the season, that they want to see progression on the pitch. How long they will give before they see that progression, I think that's the next question. I think that's what we've got to look at. But realistically, right now, don't expect Ten Hag to be out of a job this week. Expect Ten Hag to be in that dugout at Old Trafford, from what I've been told and what's been said in the media, when Manchester United play Brentford after the international break. That's the word going on. He actually went in, the journalist, and said, look, it's this Manchester United fan base. The 90 turnaround and what happened with Ferguson is not going to happen here with United. We will ultimately fail under Erik Ten Hag. That's what they feel. That was their own personal opinion. And I feel like a lot of Manchester United fans are on that. Whereas you are in that sort of category of United fan, even if you don't think you are in there, and you do have that in the back of your mind that you want to give everyone a chance. You're not like these other clubs. United are different, and we have been programmed in to thinking that way as United fans. We are different to everybody else. It's United against the world. It was always like that. Right now, it's United against United, and the fan base is completely torn, and it's being tore up right now. I think the bigger issue for me is that Ineos need to look at this. Like, if they're looking to appease the fans, if they're looking to get on the good side of the fans, I think they need to understand that what they are doing right now, where they are backing themselves in their decision to go with Ten Hag going forward, they are also tearing the fan base apart in terms of why are you making us accept these standards? And the fans are arguing with each other. They are. We've seen it last night. The amount of comments and hate that I've had over the last 2 days because of my opinion on where I feel United are there. Like, I'm not bothered. I'll take it. I'm not in this world and talking to you guys every single day expecting you all to agree with me. I say that every single show, and it's fine. The abuse that I get and everything else, yeah, it's over the top, but look, it's just the job that we're in. We're not bothered about that. People have strong opinions. And I can say, honestly and truthfully, that this fan base right now, and I'm going back through all of the last 10 years post Alex Ferguson, This fan base is the worst that it has ever been. And that's something that Ineos do need to take into consideration in all of this, because it's destroying the fans. You only have to listen to, and I've seen TalkSport talking to people outside of Villa Park yesterday, and people say, yeah, the loyal fans are the ones that go to the away games. I've seen people outside of Villa Park yesterday openly saying, I want refunding for my season tickets. I think it's a disgrace of where Manchester United are at and what we're having to watch at the moment. And that's where a lot of match-going fans are at right now. So you can argue the point of fans online, fans abroad, a difference in certain sets of fans. No, every single Man United fan is exactly the same and feels every single bit of pain the same. Yeah, some travelling fans may feel a bit more tired because they've had to travel miles and everything like that. But deep down, every single United fan is welcome to their opinion as much as the next. Don't matter if you're from Manchester, it don't matter if you're from South Africa, from Nigeria, from New Zealand, Australia, America, wherever it is in the world, doesn't matter. Everyone else feels it exactly the same way. And right now, it is the worst that it's ever been, this fan base, in terms of everyone at each other's throats. And it's because of what they're watching on the pitch. That's it. It's all right saying we're going to give this time, but Ineos do need to just tread carefully with what's happening behind the scenes right now. They need to watch what's going on because it's turning nasty. And eventually, it will start looking... fans will turn their attentions from Ten Hag to Ineos in terms of what's actually happening at Manchester United. They will expect a decision soon. A lot of people brought up the fact yesterday that United were in the same situation with Ole, and we gave him the international break. We didn't make the call, and we went and lost the next 2 games, and then we ended up sacking him anyway. Ultimately, what everyone is saying is, and anyone who's got a strong opinion and not scared to vent that opinion or talk about how they feel, is saying you are just delaying the inevitable, which is Ten Hag will ultimately end up getting the sack. Because, like I said before, the worst start to a season since Fergie's 1989-90 team, which finished 13th in the league. That's a lot. That is a lot. And that's going back a long, long way. And yes, we finished 13th that season, and Fergie carried on. And this is what a lot of the nostalgia Manchester United fans cling on to. Look at what happened with Fergie. Look what's happening with Arteta. Well, the problem that United fans have got is we are 3 seasons in with Ten Hag. And you could say, look what happened, but it does mean that if you're going off what happened with Alex Ferguson back in the day, and you're going along with what actually happened with... Sorry, I think I just went off my screen there for a minute again. I don't know what's happening with that, but I'm still live. It looks like I'm on. So if you're on that sort of nostalgia train and saying that we need to obviously look at what happened before and it can turn around, so this is the last season then. But what I'm saying is if you're accepting that Manchester United are going to finish bottom half of the table, then you also have to accept that Erik Ten Hag is going to be sacked if United finish bottom half of the table, and he won't continue. This is the modern day football. It's not the same as what it was. I understand what you're saying. Give managers time. But he's had 2 seasons where he's finished better than what he would this season, and he's still going to get sacked if he finishes in that same position this season. Are you ultimately just denying it? Are you delaying the inevitable? That's the question I want to pose. I'm going to come to the chat before we move on. We've got quite a few. My screen just blanked out, and I did have a super chat in there from somebody there, and it's gone off my screen completely. Oh no, I've got it back. You got Ross, thank you. First of all, Marcel, welcome. Thanks for renewing your membership. I've seen 14th place, Everton catching us. You got Ross with the super chat, says, I think Ten Hag has quit on us. He either does not have the skills to get this team to where it should be, or he wants his money and to head back to FC 20. I've had a lot of them comments in, and I feel it. I feel it. What I wanted to make clear this morning is where we're actually at for definite right now. And I don't like it. You all know my opinion. I'm not going to go on about my feelings of Ten Hag in this video. I said it all what I needed to say last night. But where we're at right now, there are bigger things at play. There really are. And you can feel it. My biggest concern is the way that the fan base has just absolutely turned on each other. Absolutely turned on each other. It is. It's got to a point where you cannot really have an opinion online anymore without being tarnished with that brush of you are a toxic fan. That's what it is. If I said something right now or someone else said something, there's always someone else there that's ready to just slaughter you and say that you are the problem at Manchester United. We are not the problem at Manchester United. The fans are not. The fans are the ones that are suffering. The fans are the ones that are being punished. And we have to accept everything that the manager and the players come out with and say after every single game, just because of their, let's just say, because of their failings. Because that's what it is. We have to sit there and accept it. Bye-bye. We're going on international break right now. Everything's all right here at Manchester United, but you carry on with your days and you go into work, you get the absolute slaughter and the banter from opposition fans. Just accept it that it's okay. We're all right. We're calm, so you can stay calm. That's what I don't like. I don't think they consider the fan base. I don't think they consider what it is doing to the fan base. And I feel like that is where they should be very, very careful in all of this. Let's get into the chat and see what you're all saying about it. I've got a load of chats coming in. Sorry that the first half got cut off by my screen cutting out there. I do apologise, everybody. Please get your comments in right now again. Gary says, to change manager is expensive as they'll want their own signings, coaches, etc. Not to mention paying off existing staff. Sadly, there are times Jim Radcliffe, rightly or wrongly, comes over as a bit Poundland. I think a few people would look at it that way from what's being said. I get it. Entitled fans think they can get any manager. This is not the same job as when Fergie left. Only a fool would take this job, and one did, says Steve. Why would they sack him? They know he's on a championship mission. They like the idea too. Championship mission, as in dropping down and being relegated or winning the league. Not sure where you're going with that one, whether it was a joke one or not. Any also a joke, says RH. I just can't watch them until he is gone. There are no protests. Don't we do that anymore? Radcliffe is going to save us. Laugh out loud. They are getting us relegated. This is what I was saying. The fan base will turn their attentions to Ineos because Ten Hag can only do what he's employed to do. If he hasn't got the capabilities of doing it, as we can all see, then the problem isn't his, is it? We are going to start turning towards the powers that be. Like that comment pretty much summed up right there. I don't think any sane player would want to perform badly. That won't look good on their resume, probably supposed to say resume. Sorry, there's a typo in there. When wanting to depart, they're demotivated. They're not robots. Look obvious that Ten Hag is simply inept. Why don't we all unite behind the manager until he ends or turns around and expose the fake news media narrative for clicks? One meeting, revenue check. Second meeting, arena build. To be honest, we are united behind what we're watching. We do it every single game. But we are allowed to speak about our opinions about how bad Manchester United are as well. He is not good enough. I'm going to keep saying it. Unite behind the manager until it goes wrong. What would you think when you look back on that comment when Man United are still in the bottom half of the table with everybody laughing at us and not in Europe at all? And the prices that we're actually paying and what we're going to have to fork out to pay for this new stadium when it comes. You know what I mean? That's the bigger problem for me. That's the bigger one. The fans don't get anything from this ownership. I don't know how anyone can think keeping Ten Hag is a good idea. He got given a chance at the start of this season and he's fallen again. 14th in the league. 14th in the league. Goal difference minus. Again, he's got to go. I wanted to move on to comments from what Johnny Evans said yesterday. And I want to bring up positives on what's actually happening at Manchester United as well, because Johnny Evans is a massive positive on what's going on at the football club. Quickly, just going through the other news there, just checking that there's nothing there. The Inzaghi news apparently was fake as well. That was from Romano and Ornstein as well. So, yeah, that I feel is another one where I don't know where, like, I do get the toxic sort of reports from the media and things like that, but again, it's just where the stories come from are all coming about because United are bad, and journalists will make stories up, which is why I wanted to make a big part about what Ornstein was saying this morning, because I do believe that we can trust in what he is saying. Whether we like it or not, we have to trust it, because he hasn't really been wrong with anything in the past, and it's unlike anyone else, and why we all do cling to the Athletic for bigger news, which is why I think Ten Hag is staying. I don't see how anything is going to change now from what's been said. Like, everything that's going around, everyone talking up the result yesterday. It does look like there has been a big PR push from yesterday as well, which is come out from the likes of Johnny Evans and everything else. Like Johnny Evans saying yesterday that Manchester United set up to not concede a goal and we almost scored. Now, I'll leave you to your thoughts on that in terms of how you feel that is and if you feel like that's okay for Manchester United. Paul Scholes has said himself, he's come out and said, look, it's hard to judge the game. Both teams underperformed. He's right in that. Manchester United went to a tough ground and got a good point. That's fine. But it did look like Manchester United went out there not to lose. It was a survival mode mission for Manchester United, Paul Scholes said. And Johnny Evans pretty much agreed with him in that. Johnny Evans out after the game came out and said, look, we set up to not concede and we almost scored. Manchester United almost scored. Well, United haven't scored in their last 3 Premier League games now. Obviously, I don't want to go into the stat side of things again and look like I'm completely one-sided in condemning Manchester United and Ten Hag, but the numbers don't lie. We're where we are in the league because we cannot defend consistently and we cannot score goals. That's the problem at Manchester United, and I still believe Ten Hag will not be able to fix it. Look, we did exactly the same as what we did last season, and look where we finished last season with a better start. Well, it wasn't great, but still. Like, we got smashed by Bournemouth, and similar to what happened with Spurs, and we went out to a tough game. Everyone thought the writing was on the wall, and we just went backs to the wall and defended and got a point. Have we moved on from that? Did we move on from that performance last season? No, we didn't. It stayed the same. Look, the same thing, the same pattern is happening with Manchester United, and that's my problem. Johnny Evans coming out yesterday saying what he said. Do you know what? Berbatov was the one that got me. He said every single Manchester United player should be absolutely ashamed that Johnny Evans got man of the match. This is a man that's come in that's basically at the end of his career. He's just come in to help out. And he is our best defender. He is. He is our best defender at Manchester United. And it is shocking the amount of money that Manchester United have spent, or Ten Hag, or anyone you want to say has spent, or the quality of player that they've brought in. Arnold, Murto, the old recruitment. Even the recruitment, some people would argue, from Ineos this summer. I thought it was good. And Matthias de Ligt, I thought, all right, good signing, leadership-wise. We know what his qualities are. We know what his deficiencies are. Well, this season, I don't think people are going in enough on Lisandro Martinez. I think he's been poor. And for everyone to sort of say that de Ligt has been a bad signing and Manchester United have automatically had to go to the old guard just to scrape out a draw because the players that we brought in aren't good enough, I just don't think it's fair. These players are the right players to come into United, and there is a manager out there and a coaching setup out there that will get the best out of him. Look, we changed completely yesterday, and no one is even talking about the fact that we stopped the inverted fullback idea, and that's why Manchester United kept a clean sheet. Yeah, we did. Dello was quite strict. He didn't invert. We didn't need to invert. He's never needed to invert, to be honest, in any of the games. But this is this master plan. So Ten Hag drops his whole system that he's been playing this season that's failed. Some would look at that and go, that's desperate. Some will look at that and go, at least he's changed. At least he's realised the problem. And he's gone with the bank of 4. He's changed the defence completely in the system that he's playing and the personnel in the middle. Some would say rightly so. Some would say, look, would Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire have been able to defend any better than de Ligt and Martinez in a system that had free crosses coming in because we had an inverted fullback who wasn't there to defend. Look, there's no way you can say that they'd have done any better in Porto or against Spurs than what Martinez and De Ligt did. You can't say that. It's the same thing to say, look, they deserve to come into the team. Look, everyone deserves a chance. And yesterday, Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire played well for Manchester United. Does that mean that they are going to absolutely kill it when we walk out at Old Trafford against Brentford in a couple of weeks? No, it definitely doesn't. And I think people need to remember that. Like, systems do make players look bad. No one's moaning about Dalot from yesterday, are they? No, because he wasn't being played out in a stupid position that he doesn't know well. So, really, Manchester United did everything they could yesterday just not to lose. And I think that's what we have to remember in all of this. I think we do need to just make sure that we look back on the game instead of saying that it's players and Ten Hag's made big calls about players. Yeah, he did make big calls and we've been asking him to. But I think to be slagging off the likes of De Ligt because he was in them games where United got smashed 3-0 by Spurs and conceded the goals against Porto I think that's wrong. Like, we just don't know how them other players would have played in them games. So I think you have to remember that as well. But in terms of positives from yesterday, it did seem like a negative day. And I do still feel negative about it. I'm not going to hide my feelings about that. I feel like we went out for a draw and got a draw. Well done. If that's the standard that you want to support. I don't, personally. I think it was an appalling game of football where both teams played midweek football and both looked knackered and not completely, but in a position where there was just one too many games in that week. That's how it looked to me yesterday. We've heard nothing yet on Harry Maguire's injury. We've heard nothing yet on Mazraoui and why he was brought off that I've seen anyway. We'll probably bring that through the rest of the day, making sure that we keep you up to date with that one. But yeah, I'm coming back to the comments now just to see what you guys say of it in terms of Manchester United going out and playing for a draw. Are you happy with that? Is that what was necessary yesterday is the question I'm saying. Like, just don't lose. Wayne says, look, our big problem at the moment is scoring. We could have won that yesterday. When we start scoring, things will get better, 100%. When, if, instead of sister. Again, it's all hope. It's all hope. That's the problem I've got. I'm not a hope person. I want to see progress. I want to see more. I want to see phases of play. I want to see a system that's working. I want to see players improving. No one's improving. We're not going to score goals with the way that Rashford's being chopped and changed. Ahmad's being chopped and changed. Same with Garnacho. Same with Højlund and Xerxes. Two players that Ten Hag wanted and they don't score goals. It's not going to change. We're not going to all of a sudden start scoring goals. The two previous seasons tell you everything you need to know. We don't score goals. And Ten Hag wanted Xerxes. He wanted Højlund. He wanted Højlund and Onana instead of going for like Harry Kane. They need to show some balls in Ineos now and go for a proper signing. I just don't know right now. Like, they're in a position where they don't have to make a signing because Ten Hag is in charge. It's not like they have to go out there and re-back him again. I don't think they will do. I think they've given him everything that they possibly can, and they are now, like every other United fan, sitting there and hoping. That's all it is. Like Wayne's comment there, it's all hope. There's no system. There's no sign of improvement. It's just hoping that they might get it right. That shouldn't be the case at United. Decisions need to be made which actually put you in a position where you can actually feel confident that they are going to change things and get the better out of these players. But right now, just to have Ten Hag there and hope that it works, I'm not for that. Sorry. We didn't give Villa any clear-cut chances because our three best defenders closed down chances well. Centre-backs plus Mazraoui. No, we basically played defensive as a team. It's a team. And even Ten Hag will back this up. The shape was built to stop Villa, not help Manchester United players. And that definitely not our forward players. Like, we were feeding off scraps. Best chance of the game. I mean, Ten Hag said himself, Rashford had a couple of chances. He didn't. He made a couple of chances himself by cutting in and shooting. And that was all on Marcus Rashford. The system didn't work that. He was isolated. He cut in and he shot from outside the box. Both occasions. And Martinez made two good saves. It wasn't a chance created. It wasn't anything clear cut. We didn't create anything in the game. Shots from outside the box are not chances created for me. And we were unlucky that we just missed. And obviously you can score goals in many different ways, but when someone says we created chances, no. The best chance of the game came from Villa right at the end, and Dallo was lucky. He turned his back on it and it hit him. If that went in, like, the game plan goes out of the window and everybody's piling in then, aren't they? But you know what? After everything that we said at the start of this show, even if United lost yesterday, from what's being said now, I don't actually feel like they would have got rid of Ten Hag just because we didn't get battered. I think what people were saying, I was like, going into the game, surely they can't be thinking this way. Like, if United go out there and it's all about the attitude and the performance, if they can see anything, even if we lose, it doesn't matter. It's about the attitude of the players. I couldn't believe that, but after listening to what I've listened to after the game and the reports and what all the journals are saying, I actually do now believe that, you know what, even if we lost that game, if that goal goes in that Dello blocks late on, if that goes in, I still don't think that Ten Hag will be sacked. I don't. I think they're fully on backing him, and I don't see Ten Hag leaving Manchester United. And I think it's a mistake. I do. I think it's a big mistake because it's just going exactly the same way. The pattern's the same as last season, except it's worse. There's no bigger sign. Like, look at everyone said the same thing, yeah. And I want to get into the player side of things now. The worrying thing is, you put Ten Hag aside, it doesn't matter. Like, put any else aside, it doesn't matter. What makes everything else work? What makes all Manchester United fans right now back on side, back as one, United as one, right behind this team? It's winning games, scoring goals. We're not going to score goals. That's what it comes down to. We're not going to score goals. Ten Hag pinned his hopes on Rashford's 30-goal season in his first season. He was hoping that was going to come back again, which is why he backed him so much last season. Now he's shown a little bit of form. He started to mess around with him a little bit. And he did say, when he went off, he's gone mad, Marcus Rashford, yesterday. It was there. Everybody could see it. I'm not bothered, but the only reason it's being brought up is because Rashford's got form for this. Rashford's got form for falling out with Ten Hag, obviously. And that is a problem that is there. Rashford's not scoring goals. Xerxes isn't going to get you 15 goals in a season. I'm struggling to see how Rasmus Højlund right now, with the chopping and changing, all of a sudden we have to rotate philosophy from Ten Hag creeping in. I don't see how Rasmus Højlund gets anywhere near the same goals that he got last season. And that's the problem you've got. If we don't score goals, that defence isn't always going to be able to batten down the hatches and hold teams off. Do you know what? The game against Brentford when we come back is actually a tougher game than the one against Aston Villa. And it's crazy for me to say that, but I'll say this is why. Brentford's a tougher game and a bigger game for Ten Hag now, because I didn't think that United would go into that game and the powers that be would go into that Villa game and go, as long as we show a bit of attitude, he'll be all right. So really, he knew what was going to happen because he set up that way to stop the obvious happening just so he could keep his job. And he has. He's done a job on Villa and he's got away with a point. Well done. We did it to Liverpool last season. Well done. Look at the bigger picture. Always look at the bigger picture, which is what you have to do. A little battle won on the battlefield doesn't mean you win the war. Like, yeah, you've done that one. Well done. Strategy-wise, it's worked out and everybody's saying that on paper that's a good result. And then they try and talk about where United go from there is we're going to have to go out against Brentford and show a little bit more willing to score a goal. We're going to have to play a little bit more adventurous, and that's United's problem. When we're at Old Trafford, that crowd expects, and that's what I wanted to bring in again. They have got this fan base arguing amongst each other. So when them fans go now to Old Trafford, after Ineos have backed Ten Hag, and we go to that game against Brentford in a couple of weeks' time, we expect this team to perform. We're backing Ten Hag. We're staying with him. The owners have said they're staying with him. So let's see what you're going to do differently. Nothing's going to change. You'll win a couple of games, you'll lose a few games, and United will stay where they are. They won't move into that top 8. United's best position, going off the way that things are going, and what we've got in this team right now, because everybody's fit, don't forget that. He's got multiple options. Like, to leave Ahmad on the bench, having made 5 substitutes yesterday, tells you how much options he's got. He's got Malacia and Luke Shaw and Lenny O all coming back as well. Martinez didn't get on the pitch yesterday. When you've got Martinez and Ahmad on the bench, and they're not coming on when you've made 5 changes, then you've got plenty of options there. It's not changing. Like, it won't change. Like, this is the squad. If Ten Hag goes a bit more adventurous, teams will pick us off. We've seen that. If he goes defensive and you want to praise that, that's fine. Certain games, that works. Fergie did it. I'm not going to deny. Doing a job on Villa, if we was actually in the top half of the table in about 6th or 7th, God, I can't believe I'm saying that. Like, that's an acceptance. And we went to Villa and got a point. Yeah. I think Spurs fans would swap places with us right now in terms of how their weekend went, because they obviously give away their 2-goal lead as well. So looking across there, you could argue that point. I'd rather be a United fan. But again, it goes to show, like, everyone's in on Ange Postecoglou, and just look at him and what he did with Spurs yesterday. But look at the 2 game weeks. Manchester United have, 1 point? And Spurs have, 3. And that's why Manchester United will not climb this table. Because we haven't got that system in place that gives you the confidence, or the players' confidence, to play. Like, Spurs will lose that game. They'll go back, they'll tweak the odd thing here and there, and then they'll go back out again and carry on playing the same way. United are just chopping and changing for every single occasion that comes about right now just to get through another week. It's mental, it's stupid, and it's not sustainable. That's the problem we've got. Do you think they can rebuild and win the Europa League if Erik Ten Hag is replaced within a couple of weeks? I'm concerned about the Champions League money being gone. I think we need to accept that the Champions League money is gone. I don't expect, and I don't think Manchester United are good enough under Ten Hag to get top 4 now and get Europa League. I don't think he can turn it around. If they do change the manager, there's always a chance that we could win the Europa League. I think by the time that Ineos do make the change with Ten Hag, I'll feel like it's too late. I think we'll be too far away from the top 4 for anyone to make an impact. And that was the whole argument, really. While we're like 6 points off top 4 right now, it looks like there's a chance that United could turn it around. Under Ten Hag, it won't. I can guarantee you that right now. Strong opinion, I know. But still. Can you tell me? You're not going to be able to convince me that he's doing things that are going to get Manchester United back up there right now, this manager. Stuart says, hi Adam, I said before the Spurs game we would only get 1 point from Spurs and Villa. He hasn't a clue what 11 to pick. True. I still don't think he knows his best team. I said that yesterday. Graham says, so how are our strikers supposed to score, mate? They don't score because the system doesn't work. I said that. We don't have wingers. We don't have people who cross the ball in the box. Xerxes has said he's not a number 9. So why have we brought in a player that's not a number 9? He's supposed to be competing with Rasmus Højlund. Both Rasmus Højlund and Joshua Xerxes yesterday scored nothing. They did nothing in that game. Absolutely nothing. They were bullied. So what do? If you can't feed the ball into them, you play wide players. You play players that are going to cross the ball in the box. Maybe Højlund or Xerxes can attack the ball. They're both big lads and have both scored headed goals before, but he won't change it. How do we score goals? How are they supposed to score? Ten Hag talks about the XG and being 3rd in the league, even though we were 5th in the league in terms of XG and chances created. And then yesterday, to save his job, he completely neglects what he was doing before in that XG that he was bigging up to stay in a job and go all defensive and stop them scoring. We created 0 chances yesterday. So, yeah, there is no way. How do our strikers score, Graham says? I don't know, because Ten Hag is in charge, and I don't know what he's going to do. That's the honest answer to that one. Spurs are a terrible team. They just showed up at Old Trafford. If they're terrible and they're in a better position than us in the league, then where are we? That's how I'll answer that one, Wayne. Ten Hag couldn't turn around in dancing how he is supposed to turn around United. Sack the fraud. Sure, I sort of get that comment, but it was a bit typo-ish there. Xerxes is something new to Højlund. Xerxes can drop in, win the ball, and create chances for the wingers. And even the cam can be a shadow striker like Firmino was. Again, like clutching at straws. clutching at straws, trying to find a way of getting the best out of players that we brought in ultimately to get us the goals. This is what I keep saying. Like, we're trying to find something when we should already have it. That's the problem. When you spend this amount of money, when you bring this amount of players in, there should be something there already. You need to be finding things right about this time now anyway. Never mind, like, what can we do? Oh, we can do this. We can change that. He can play there. Is that not the job of the bleeding manager? Like, we're trying to find ways around this for Ten Hag. It should be him showing us that he has got something in his locker that he can do to turn this team around. And we've not. That's the problem that we've got. Let's just see. To make Xerxes Firmino type, you need goal-scoring wingers. We don't have them either. Code says, any other team he would have been sacked by now. So I really don't see how Man United fans keep wanting him. Do they like being crap? They must enjoy everything. I've had so many opposition fans come to me already. Even this morning from last night, just laughing. Enjoy it. How is he still there? I keep getting the same thing over and over again. It just won't change. Did anything else not boast 2 years is what people get, and if no good, they move on. This is year 3. Well, that was Sir David Brailsford who was talking about the 2-year thing. He was saying basically that if a player or an athlete hasn't improved within 2 years after everything that they've been given and the opportunities they've been given, then it's time to move on. Are they looking at it from them being in situ? 2 years under Ineos's sports science and their programming and their running of the football club? Hey, look, in terms of money, I'm worrying about money. Manchester United apparently are open to the idea of a Netflix and Amazon Prime documentary about the revival of Manchester United under Ineos. How long's that going to go on for? That's the question. They're open to it, is their response to that in news this morning. Yeah, open to that is definitely the right way I would go about it, because there's no way they can commit to that yet, because they could be filming forever and a bleeding day before we get back up there. But yeah, that would be a lot of money for Manchester United. And do you know why they wouldn't put it past, they wouldn't just turn it away as an idea? Is because it could pay a long way to getting that stadium done. That's why. That's why they're looking at it. I'm telling you that for nothing now. That definitely works out. There is news just coming out as well. Let's just get into everything that's actually happening. Apparently Samuel Luckhurst has just tweeted out or just mentioned that United are lining up Thomas Tuchel again as a replacement. I'm just going to get through all of the news now, just in case anything has come up. News that's just come out now. Erik Ten Hag expects to hold discussions with Manchester United in the coming days, from Samuel Luckhurst. Also from Luckhurst says Manchester United are lining up Thomas Tuchel as a potential replacement for Erik Ten Hag. That's the updates on everything going on with United right now. If that develops, we'll come back to you more later on today with that news as it comes about. Just checking through everything else. Big one here from Henry Winter. Manchester United and Erik Ten Hag are obviously locked in a lovable relationship going nowhere. At some point, they have to part. His tactics, recruitment, game management, and public utterances are all unconvincing. He would already have gone at a club with less patient fans. United match-going fan base have been exemplary in their support of the manager so far. Yet there also has to be an understanding the litany of injuries, and when Ten Hag finally leaves, some players need to acknowledge they could have done more, given more, if only every player had the professionalism, commitment to the cause, and willingness to take responsibility of Johnny Evans. Evans has been a true leader on and off the pitch. When Ten Hag does go, Dan Ashworth and Ineos have also to change the culture shaped by the Glazers. United should be a football club with the megastar attached, not the other way round. Well said from Henry Winter there. He knows, every journalist knows where Manchester United are. Every match-going journalist who follows Manchester United know the direction United are going in. And it isn't an upwards trajectory. It's all going down. And it will continue to go down, I feel. Definitely on the pitch, well, Ten Hag is in situ anyway. And that's never going to change. My opinion won't change, I don't think, unless something miraculous happens this season. But that is your morning show, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We've gone a little bit longer. There's a lot to talk about on the show. So, yeah. I feel like we are going to get some updates, but it's going to be that Ten Hag is still at Manchester United. That's my own personal opinion. From everything that I've read and everything that's come out, that's how it looks right now. They've just said they're sticking with him. Who do you believe? Yeah, we will see. One journalist saying one thing, one saying another. We'll break it all down later on and go through the news again around about midday with you all, just to keep you updated. But thanks for joining us on the morning show. Really appreciate it, everybody. Great comments in the comment section. We'll be back later on, like I said. Have a good day. And yeah, let's see what comes next. Cheers, everyone.